Hey, Fort Wayne, welcome to Fort Wayne Footy. Only 22 minutes later than we planned to stream live. We did have some technical difficulties here earlier, and we lost connection to YouTube, which we will remedy that before next week's show. But we do want to welcome you in. Fort Wayne Footy has been a dream of mine since 2019 when Fort Wayne FC was founded. But at that point, I had been podcasting only a year and really had no idea what I was doing or how to do it well. Fast forward to today, we're in a good spot with soccer growing all over our region, with Fort Wayne FC getting ready to move up to the professional ranks of USL League 2, a new stadium coming to town. And I've been able to host another similar podcast in Cincinnati Soccer Talk for the last couple of years. And so I just felt, it was time to make this dream a reality here in 2025 as we kick off the Fort Wayne FC season, along with the season of other teams. 1927 SC, the amateur team here in town. Our club teams are kicking off right now. Our middle school teams are playing. Our high school teams are getting ready to start their preseason training once the school season or the school year lets out. Soccer is just it's growing like crazy here in Fort Wayne, and we're excited to be part of it here on Fort Wayne Footy. My name is Brian Biedenbach. I'm here to host the show and to facilitate this conversation, but I'm by no means the end-all be-all expert of soccer in Fort Wayne. I have been a part of it for 15, 20 years now as a coach, as a player, as a parent. I do some training at Homestead High School. I've done some training at some other middle schools and colleges, and we don't need to talk about all that tonight because I want to introduce you to our host team, our lineup here, who's been patiently waiting for me to get things reconnected. Autumn DeMott, welcome to Fort Wayne Footy, and thank you for being patient with us tonight. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Brian. Thanks. How are you?
I'm great. We'll talk about me more later because I like to talk about me. No, that's not true. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, Autumn. Why are you here?
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan, came here for college and started, I played at the collegiate level at Huntington University. I was a goalkeeper. And then I had the privilege of stepping on staff and coached there for 5 years. And then just last year, I decided to take an opportunity at Fort Wayne Sport Club and coach some U9, U10 boys team. That was an experience for sure, but it was super fun. Loved to get that experience as a coach. And then this past fall, I was at Canterbury High School, and now I've had the opportunity to take over the head coaching position for the Canterbury Middle School girls team. So love that program, love to be a part of it, but I'm super excited to have the opportunity to be on this podcast, talk soccer. Like you said, it's an up and coming sport here in Fort Wayne, and there's a lot of good things happening. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I did this to her earlier when we weren't streaming and nobody was watching, so I have to throw her out there again now that people are online and people are watching. Autumn was a goalkeeper at Huntington University, but she wasn't just your average Joe goalkeeper at Huntington. She was a pretty standout keeper. Yeah, tell us about your last season. Or last 2 seasons at Huntington?
Well, considering that you were my coach, I feel like I could just turn this around and brag it on you rather than me. But I ended my college career being nationally ranked, and so that was an honor and a privilege to be ranked and to end my career that way.
Awesome. Yeah, it was an honor to coach you. And like I said, I like talking about myself, sort of, but I like when other people talk about me. So that's why I teed you up for that. No, that's not true either. But Autumn is a fantastic player, fantastic coach, and glad to have her here on the show. Micah Middendorf, head coach at Concordia Lutheran High School, the women's team. Mm-hmm. How you doing tonight?
I am great, Brian. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I am super excited to be on the show. I have coached anywhere from U6 to teenage boys. Most recently, I was at the NCAA Division III level at Concordia Chicago. And then I'm currently, like you said, at Concordia High School here in town. I'm a Fort Wayne transplant. Love the game. My playing career is not nearly as impressive as Autumn's. But I absolutely love the game, love talking about it, so can't wait to share some opinions.
Micah was the first one I talked to about this podcast, and when I asked him about being part of it, he said, I have a lot of opinions about soccer, and this will give me a place to share those opinions. So maybe home is not the place to share all your opinions, huh? Is that it?
No one listens to me at home anyway, so I'm gonna scream out into the void.
That's awesome. And Dustin Diller, our kids have played together. We've known each other for a while. You're coaching now a younger team. Welcome to Fort Wayne Footy. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Autumn, I took over the U9 boys, so that's what I'm doing at Sport Club right now. Yeah, so I'm a Fort Wayne native, lived here my whole life. Played soccer growing up. Don't have any accolades like the two of you, other than I will say I am a co-ed intramural soccer champion from Indiana Wesleyan, circa
Oh.
2004-ish. Yeah, but I've all my kids have played travel soccer, and my oldest plays at Carroll High School right now. So love soccer. I'm usually watching a game in the background at some point. Maybe Cincinnati FC or some Liverpool is usually what's on. So
Yeah.
big game this week or today. So
Yeah. I think this is a fun night to stream, right? I think my family, I normally do Cincinnati Soccer Talk on Monday nights at 9, and I think my family forgot, and there's boxes being moved, and there was just a crash, and the vacuum's running. So I apologize if you hear any noise. It's not here. I promise we're pros at this. This tonight has just been it's been something. But yeah, hey, if you're watching live, I know we've had some technical difficulties, and I don't know if anybody stuck around for the 22 minutes we were trying to get things rolling. But if you are watching live, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know where you're listening from in the chat, how you're involved in soccer. If you're a parent, are you a coach, are you a player, one of the teams we're going to cover this year? We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get some feedback. So we are on Facebook at Fort Wayne Footy. We're on YouTube at Fort Wayne Footy. And yeah, you can email us at info@fortwaynefooty.com as well. And like I said, we would just love to hear from you. You've seen the trailer episodes. You've heard the trailer episodes. Our vision for Fort Wayne Footy is there's a phrase that I've been repeating as I've been talking about this. We want to celebrate the game of soccer and elevate the game of soccer here in Fort Wayne. And what I mean by that is there is a lot of soccer happening, and we have teams from the youngest levels to now professional levels, moving into the professional levels, competing at really, really high levels of soccer. And I don't know if everybody knows that, if people are interested in that. I know there's a lot of people that are interested in that because our kids play. But it's a growing sport, and we've got competitive players here in Fort Wayne, and it is something to be celebrated. And so we want to just be out in front of that and celebrate what's happening from the pro ranks to maybe even the rec leagues here in town, of the development leagues, what's happening to grow the sport in Fort Wayne. So we want to celebrate that this season on Fort Wayne Footy. We also want to elevate the game. And what I mean by that is we want to keep it out in front of people. We do have a lot of, as I think about the parents that I stand on the sidelines with and watch, there's a lot of them will joke about, I don't even know what that call was. What was that about? Because many of us didn't grow up playing soccer. We were learning the rules. For me, that sport was volleyball. My kids got into playing volleyball, and it took me about 6 years to really understand the rotations and the substitution patterns and who can touch the ball and the second hit and all that stuff. It took me a while to get my head around that. And so we want to provide an outlet or a service to educate folks about the game of soccer. We want to talk some tactics. We want to define some terms. We want to just help people understand more about the game, because when you understand it more, it becomes more enjoyable to watch. And let's be honest, I think the referees in Fort Wayne may thank us when parents aren't yelling at them for calls that weren't really calls, because it's just part of the sport. Am I right, Micah?
Referees are great. I love every single one of them.
So my son's team was playing in Cincinnati this weekend, and we had one or two referees from Fort Wayne that traveled down to Cincinnati to ref some of these showcase games. So our Fort Wayne refs, how about that? Shout out to those guys for getting down there. So anyway, that is what we're all about. That's our vision for Fort Wayne Footy. And we invite you, like I said, to be part of it. We'd love questions. We'd love feedback. We'd love to know, again, just where you're involved in the soccer world here in this area. Tonight, we want to talk a little bit about Fort Wayne FC, because their season gets kicked off here in just a couple weeks with a friendly on May 11th. and we want to talk about the team, get to know the team a little bit, what's happening. So Fort Wayne FC, as you know, is our local professional team founded in 2019. Dustin, do you remember what you had going on in 2019? That was a while
Jeez.
ago.
Anything pre-COVID, I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
COVID hit, and I remember everything after that.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? Like it feels like so long ago because we had that gap year really, 2020 in there. But no, 2019 Cincinnati, my team that I've followed for years was moving from USL to Major League Soccer. And Fort Wayne FC was just getting started in USL 2. So they play in the third tier of USL. Which again, professional soccer, if you don't know, is multi-tiered here in the United States. And MLS, Major League Soccer, is the top tier. Micah, have you been following any of the like USL league? So USL 2 is like fourth tier of soccer, but it's third tier in USL.
Yes, correct. So you have the USL 2, USL 1, and then you have the USL Championship. The coolest thing for me is the introduction of the relegation and promotion. So next year when Fort Wayne enters into the USL 1, so full professional ranks, they have an opportunity to continue to grow, and they do well enough, then they're going up to the next division. So I'm excited for that. It's unique, primarily in Europe and European countries. We don't necessarily see it here in the States, but I think it adds a really exciting element to, especially the end of season games when promotion or even relegation is at stake.
Yeah. And Fort Wayne FC has won their division the last 2 seasons. They are back-to-back champions, and it's kind of exciting as they go into their last year in USL League 2 to potentially finish atop of their division a third time in a row, to three-peat before they move up to the official professional ranks. Because officially USL 2 is still an amateur league. We've got a lot of high school players and college players that are able to be involved in playing on the team, which we'll talk about some of those here in just a moment. But as they move into USL 1 next year, we may see a lot of turnover in the team, which maybe we'll talk about towards the end of the season, because we want to get excited about who's here right now and who has a chance to be here still next year as they move into the professional ranks. They're coached by Mike Avery and Keelan Barker, which we're excited about. They've done a great job coaching this squad the last couple of years, and we're excited to see what they do here in this final season in USL League 2. We've got some local guys on this squad, which we're pretty excited about. They put together a pretty solid squad, like we've talked about the last 2 seasons, who won their division. They went 8-2-2. It's a truncated season, right? It's only 16 weeks. I don't think it's quite that long. 13 weeks maybe of the season. It's a pretty short season because of the college and high school players that are on the team that have to go back to their squads. But we do have some local players on the team. Micah, who are you looking to watch this year?
I think the biggest player for me, especially as we talk about the local kids, right? We talk about the grassroots and the players coming out of Fort Wayne. I don't think we get enough recognition for the quality of players that we develop here through the clubs, through the high schools, even the colleges with Huntington, Indiana Tech. I know I'm missing a few. Like I said,
we've got a top 20 goalkeeper on our show at Huntington. We got to celebrate that.
No.
So, but there's been quality players coming out of Fort Wayne for the last couple of years. I mean, I could go through the girls' side with Lydia Harold at UWM, Allie Doctor, and I know I'm missing a lot. Those are just players that I've played against the last couple of years. I'm just grateful that they graduate and I don't have to deal with them anymore. But I mean, when we look at this Fort Wayne FC, we have Namik, who came out of Northrop High School. I believe he's going to Bowling Green this next year, and he's been playing with this team for 2 years. And again, that shows the quality of the players that we have, and kind of the grassroots strategy that this team has. There's also David Anderson, who was at Dwenger High School, played at St. John's University last year. Again, you don't go to St. John's by just being an average player, which is Big East. There's Reed Sprout, came out of Leo High School. I think he has the most matches played in Fort Wayne FC history. I think he's actually a coach at Huntington now. Graduate assistant, I think I saw at one of the schools here local. So he's just starting his coaching career, trying to give back to the kids and give back to the community. So it's awesome to see that. There's a kid at Carmel, or came out of Carmel, not necessarily a Fort Wayne kid, but pretty local in terms of still in Indiana. He was at Bradley University. So when we look at these types of players that we're able to send out it to different universities, or even USL2, which is a pathway to pro, it I think is just a testament to what these coaches are doing here in town. And I don't think we get as much respect for the quality of soccer that we have here in Fort Wayne as maybe teams out of Indy, or out of state, out of Chicago, but we've proven that we can play with any of these big teams across our region.
And that's the thing that it excites me as we talk about development of young players here in Fort Wayne, that we have we are a small market, and we have just a handful of clubs in our small city who are competing, both clubs and 3 clubs competing at really high levels in our region, nationally. And so that is something to celebrate, the teams that are doing it and the individual players that are coming up. So it is fun to see some of them staying local and playing on a USL2 team. I think I saw a stat the other day that said 70% of MLS players have played that come through the United States have played on a USL2 squad. And so it is a place where they can develop and grow. And I think, I don't remember, I should have looked this up. I don't remember the name. There was a player a few years ago, maybe our guest here in a few minutes will remind us, who got picked up. He played for Fort Wayne FC a few years ago, got picked up by Miami this last season in 2023, I believe, maybe 24. So yeah, we've got a lot of development coming through Fort Wayne, and we're seeing it on the field, or we get to see it on the field at Fort Wayne FC and USL2. Dustin, you have, as a fan, right? You've been to some games here at Fort Wayne. What is game day like as a fan for Fort Wayne FC? So those who maybe have never been to a game this season, what can they look forward to from your perspective?
So I think it's kind of cool because they really do involve the youth in the game, and so both clubs, United and Sport Club, their boys and girls will walk out on the field with the players. They get to get their autographs afterwards, all that kind of stuff. But the game day experience is actually really cool. I mean, I've been to some MLS games in Cincinnati with Brian, and it's really cool that it feels very much like that here in Fort Wayne, just in a smaller level. And so I think the excitement is there. It's just, as we get our own stadium next year, I'm pretty excited about that, like to kind of see what that looks like. I think it's going to be exciting to see how much larger it gets in Fort Wayne. I think the first few years it's kind of just taken off and seeing where we can get from a spectator perspective, but it's gotten bigger every year. Every year that I go, the crowds are larger. It's cool to watch them play some international friendlies with some teams. I just think it's cool to see, even pulling players from, like, there's a couple players this year that just got signed from Canada, seeing them come down and play in Fort Wayne, it's just interesting. I mean, we're pulling quality players into our team and playing well against teams from all around the country. So I'm excited. I love the experience at game day, and I'm excited to talk to our guests today a little bit more about that. But it's always, I mean, it's a great experience for adults, and my kids love it. My kids ask to go to every single game, so it's just fun.
I hear if you jump on as a season ticket holder in 2025, you get priority as a season ticket holder in the new stadium in 2026, Dustin. So
interesting.
next time your kids ask, just say, kids, we got season tickets for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And then you can figure out where the money's coming from later.
Right. Jack's getting a job, so that's perfect for this summer.
Awesome. Autumn, I'm going to throw you a question because we didn't get a chance to talk about it, and I wanted to. The goalkeepers for Fort Wayne FC, they've got a solid squad of goalkeepers, and because it's a position you played and you've coached, as we've talked about before, I'm not going to keep throwing you under the bus there. They have Ari Briscoe, who's from Rutgers University. He was a Golden Glove winner last year in 2022, 8 straight scoreless matches in 2024. And brought in a Christian Herluff. I don't know if that's how you pronounce the last name, who was the goalkeeper of the year in the Great Lakes Valley Conference here in the Midwest. So my question for you, Autumn, is I don't know that you know these players or not, but watching a game from the sideline through a goalkeeper's lens, what are you looking for? Like when you see a good goalkeeper out there, what are you looking for? What do you notice that maybe people can be looking for in these two players, and even David Anderson that's joining from Dwenger High School?
Yeah, that's a great question, Brian. I think, if I'm as a spectator or a coach looking on a goalkeeper specifically, the things that, from my perspective, people have, I think, maybe different perspectives, but one, are you taking charge of your box? What are your strengths, and are you taking charge back there? As a goalkeeper, you're supposed to be the back line. You're the last person, but you see the whole field. So these sound like they are stellar goalkeepers on this team, and I'm super excited to follow them through this season. And so, but for me, it's like, okay, how are you leading your team from the back? And so I think that's just for me as a coach, spectator looking at that. How strong are you from the back, leading, communicating, all of that stuff. Strong hands,
Yeah, so somebody that is watching and they don't know goalkeeper play, right? They're listening for the voice, right? They're listening for the command, the communication, right? You can tell, a good goalkeeper by their communication. They're strong hands for sure. Decision making is a big thing, and I think it's one of the underrated, or maybe it's the hardest position to get your head around. Because as a goalkeeper myself and as a coach, I'll get parents on the sideline like say something about a keeper or question a keeper, and I'm like, yeah, that wasn't really his fault or her fault or whatever, because here's what's going down. You kind of explain whatever, and so I think it's a unique position to understand, and so I'm excited to have your lenses on as we talk about some of these games. We're not going to be previewing the whole season, every show here. We're just getting our feet wet, learning the team as we go. We're going to do some game recaps throughout the season, but we want to bring on a special guest tonight as we talk about the fan perspective. Let me bring her on here, Christina Copeland, who is with us from Three Rivers Regiment. Christina,
Hi.
how are you tonight?
Oh, dandy. How about yourself?
Good. Well, I was a little frustrated early on with our show that was live and not live, and now it's live again, sort of, in a very special place on Riverside. Like I said, we'll get that remedied. But thank you for your patience. I know you were supposed to join us about 25 minutes ago. We had to push the show a little bit. But Christina Copeland is one of the founders of the Three Rivers Regiment, which, if you don't know Three Rivers Regiment, they are the supporters group for Fort Wayne FC. And we're going to talk a little bit about them because they are the ones that get the crowd hype at these matches, and there's a lot to it. Christina, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about Three Rivers Regiment.
Oh, well, thank you, first of all, for the invite. More than happy to come and share a little bit about us, because as crazy as it sounds to me, somehow people don't know that Fort Wayne FC exists in Fort Wayne sometimes. So by proxy, even less people know that we exist. So thank you. We are a all-inclusive grassroots organization. My friend Shane, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, him and I started this group back on day one when Fort Wayne FC was announced. Got a surprise text where I was like, oh my gosh, we're getting a soccer team. And he was like, surprise. And I was like, that's rude. You didn't link me into everything. And, it's whatever. I forgive him now many years later. But so we just invite anybody and everybody who likes to watch soccer or hang out, honestly, and have a good time and be enthusiastic, maybe a little tad obnoxious. And we do that. We're mainly the official supporter group for Fort Wayne FC, but we also do a lot of extra community outreach events and activities and such too.
So you're the supporters group. For those who don't know soccer, it's a big deal. Like, it's not just a bunch of fans that go to a game and eat hot dogs with their kids and whatever. Like, this is an organized thing that you guys do. And like you said, a lot of people don't know you exist because they don't even know Fort Wayne FC exists. So in general, what is a supporters group, and what does Three Rivers Regiment look like as a supporters group at Fort Wayne FC matches?
I think that's the really cool thing specifically about soccer. I'm someone who grew up from, as a kid all the way through, insert an age I won't say out loud, just totally engulfed in soccer. So the great thing about soccer is this like kind of fan culture that other sports don't have. You have your diehard fans and you have your like legacy fans and whatnot, but soccer specifically has your supporters group. So you'll like, if you've ever watched a soccer game or listened to a soccer game and you hear like just songs and chants and everything in the background the whole time and it's never quiet, those are the supporter sections. Those are the people who are, you got your fans and you got the people who are just like hoarse voice at the end of the game, probably saying explicit things at referees, maybe not. You never know.
Dustin, your eyes got really big. Like, how did she hear me?
Yeah. I was thinking back to Micah.
I mean,
how he was talking about
we do have one sign that's the guy who started this group with me. It's the Shane Linker Memorial Jail because he got kicked out of a game one time. So, shout out to Shane. But if you're in a group, no one can single you out. That's the key thing. But a lot of it is just, we do during game days, we have smoke that we like, smoke bombs for walkouts, for goals. We have smoke. You'll see us with flags. We also have bubbles, like a fun thing that we picked from West Ham, was bubbles. So we have smoke bombs and bubbles that go off for every goal. We do chants, like I said, songs, just general noise through the entire game to kind of just bring like that extra energy and enthusiasm and everything. So you're not just kind of watching casually a game. It's like, it's a real experience that you try to bring for everyone during a game.
And it's, so you can be a diehard soccer fan and be part of that. You can be a casual soccer fan and be part of that. You can be a not at all soccer fan and be part of a supporters group because you're waving flags and yelling and cheering and being with your friends and just being obnoxious, as you said, the whole game. Like, I wonder, at some of these supporter sections at some of these MLS stadiums I've been to, no, the front row doesn't even watch the game. They're just turned around leading the chants. They're just turned around beating the drums, waving the flags. So if you don't like a rowdy crowd, maybe the supporter section isn't the place to sit because you're going to have flags waving in front of you.
Sit at the top of the section.
There you go. There you go. But you do like the noise. It makes an exciting atmosphere in a stadium. So just last night I was at the FC Cincinnati match at TQL Stadium in Cincinnati. My son was playing there and took his whole team and the parents, right? And the Bailey is their supporter section. It's huge and they go nuts. And the dad sitting next to me was like, they really don't ever sit down, do they? And I said,
welcome
no.
to soccer.
Like, they don't even have seats over there. It's standing room only. That's all they have. And they don't ever stop chanting? No, they don't. And so to have that, even in a market like here in Fort Wayne with Fort Wayne FC, to have a supporters group that does that chants, that cheers, that sings, that drums, that waves flags, that blow bubbles, the smoke. Now, when you say smoke, right? You talk about smoke bombs that go off and it's colored smoke, for the team, whatever. If you're not part of a supporters group, you're not getting in the stadium with the smoke bomb. Is that right?
Technically, yeah, that's exactly what it says in the guidelines. You're correct.
Okay. But if
please don't bring smoke just randomly as a fan. Like, you can come hang out with us and we'll let you stand next to the person who we have two people specifically that they're the only ones allowed to do it. Please don't just bring smoke in. You're going to get us in trouble.
Right. Yeah. So it's a fun atmosphere. It's an exciting atmosphere. You guys have connections with the team and partnership with the team, who gives you, special permissions to bring in things like that, to cheer and to chant and whatnot. Do you have a favorite chant or a song that you guys do from the supporter section?
Oh man.
I mean, I'm
put
not
me
going to
on the
ask you to
spot.
sing it. I just wonder if you have like a favorite.
To be fair, there's one that we just made up this off season. By the way, all of them we have a Google Doc that's got all of the chants and everything in it, that we have available for anybody during a game, because handing out paper is obnoxious. We found out. But the one we wrote in the off season is kind of more specifically towards our coach Avery. And it goes along the tunes to, and again, I'm dating myself a little bit, but if anybody ever remembers the Mickey Mouse March, who's the leader of the club that's made for you and me? AVER and Y, etc., etc.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, we have so many. We pull from, more traditional. There's a lot of chants that you'll hear at every club. Honestly, you just take out their name, insert your name. And then there are some that are very specific and like close to our heart. We have a Briscoe Inferno chant that we've had the last few years because we're huge Ari Briscoe fans, obviously. So we try to make it, specific to the clubs, specific to the players. But yeah, keep an ear out for that one. Kind of proud of that one.
And Christina, just to jump in, so people outside that like want to get involved, how do they get involved with the Rivers Regiment? Like, how is that like, do they have to pass a background check? How does that look? I mean, obviously,
Only
those
if
two
you bring
people
in
with the
smoke.
smoke
How
bombs
many
do.
smoke bombs do they have?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's the question.
We take payment, and no,
Yeah.
it'll be so bad. Luckily enough, truly, honestly, I think that's another great thing about supporters groups is it's like, are you fun, chill, like enthusiastic, willing to be a little goofy? We're more than happy to have you on board. You really don't have to have any soccer knowledge. I'll be more than happy to, refer you to this podcast for future knowledge. Or you can ask me. We've had to explain what offside is multiple times to people in our group.
Yep.
It is what it is. So you can find us on Facebook or Instagram as our main two platforms. To become a member, really, all we ask is 1, you to show up, 2, have a great attitude, and 3, just a tiny little $10 membership fee to help pay for all the bubbles and the smoke and the banners. And every year we do a signature banner. It's actually underneath this laptop as I speak, that we hand paint, because again, soccer supporters, you don't screen print anything. It's all hand painted. It's all self-funded. That every year, if you score a goal or if you're the goalkeeper that has a shutout, you get to sign it, and you can sign it as many times as you get through the entire. And we have every single year's banner that we bring to every single game as just like an homage to everybody in the past. Literally, if you just walk up and you're like, "Hey, I heard about you guys on a podcast. This is really cool." I'll be like, "Here, take food from our tailgate. Here, have a flag or a bucket, or here's a noisemaker," or whatever. Like, if you just walk up and you're like, "Heard about you guys. This sounds cool." You're basically a member already. Congratulations. It's a very small admissions test.
But if they go to your social media, they can go on, they can pay the $10 membership fee, all that kind of stuff through there.
Yeah, it's
Perfect.
right there at the top. We've made sure we pinned it. It's got a little rundown of, again, who we are. We also have some pretty cool incentives that we've worked with the team to, like, for membership perks. Things like a signed DeMarcus Beasley soccer ball, just other swag, just general stuff to try and incentivize people to help continue growing, because we're in a small section now at St. Francis, and it's going to get much bigger at the stadium. So we need lots of people to be loud and willing to join and whatnot, especially especially moving forward.
Right on. Hey, Christina, I have a question for you. It's actually very important. So
Uh-oh.
no pressure. But you've been a part of this since the club basically started. So my question for you is, who are your favorite players, or do you have a single favorite? Especially since we,
Oh, no.
we want to be on the lookout as we follow this team. So, I mean, what perfect way to ask you who we should be following?
To be fair, again, I grew up as a bit of a goalkeeper as well. So
Right on.
I really love Briscoe.
Okay.
He's not only just like a really great goalkeeper, but he's a really good guy. He has a really solid family that comes out and watches him play too, and they're really a solid supporter for him. I really like Tom from last year. By the way, the person you were talking about earlier that went to Miami is Pep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep,
So
thank
Pep,
you. Thank you.
watch out for him.
I knew I could look
Down
that
in
up, but I
Miami.
figured you would know it.
We
Who is
Forrester
undefeated
played for
right
us.
now?
Yeah,
Miami,
Forrester played for us, and he went and he got drafted in the MLS. You know, I don't know. I really liked Frenchie back in the beginning too. I don't know if any of you were around. Yeah, Frenchie was with us for a few years, and it's really fun when like the players, we just like watching them, but then they're also like excited to see us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It makes a difference for sure. When you, as a player, when you're on the field and you know people are there cheering and chanting, and they're, the 12th man in the stands, right, cheering you on. They've got your back. If you win or loss, you've got people that are going to be in the stands at the next game, and I know fans players are appreciative of that. A lot of times we'll come over and thank the crowd and thank the specifically. I can't talk anymore. It's getting too late. They'll thank the supporter section, and it does mean a lot to them as well. And so I'm excited about what you guys do. I know the games that I've been to, I've seen that section grow. Like I think the first game I went to, there were like 3 people yelling in like blue shirts and with flags, and then it just continued to grow. And I didn't know it was an official supporter section at that point. Like I didn't know that until here just recently, that like I knew there was a supporter section. I didn't know who you were, how you got involved in that. So we're just really appreciative of you and what you do at your group at the stadium for the team, but I'm personally appreciative of you coming on the show tonight to tell us a little bit about what you guys do, who you are, and hopefully we can send people your way. Like I would love to see that supporter section grow from where they're playing now until that 8,000 seat stadium next year that we're going to get to fill a whole section of that would be fantastic. So let us know. We talked about, it's on your social media. Where can people find you to get involved specifically?
Like I said, Facebook, Instagram are our main platforms that we utilize.
And they just look for Three Rivers Regiment?
Yep, just at Three Rivers Regiment. It's pretty simple. You might get a little confused. The crest looks a little something like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And on all the information is on there. And feel free to reach out. We'll answer any questions you have. Pretty easy to join us.
Very good. And hey, if you reach out to Christina or Shane at Three Rivers Regiment because you heard about it here on the show, let them know that. We'd love to know, and they'd love to know where folks are coming from. We'd love to know that we're actually being a part of this and sending people your way. So, Christina, thanks for coming on the show. We're sorry Shane couldn't join you tonight. I know he had something come up. Hope everything's okay there, and we look forward to seeing you probably more on the show, but definitely at games this season.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate the invite. Congrats on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Christina.
We'll talk to you soon,
Bye.
Christina.
See ya.
All right. Well, it was a fun interview. I'm glad she was able to come on the show and share a little bit more insight, not just about Three Rivers Regiment, but about the team and the history in the past and how they came to be a supporters group. This is the point of the show where we want to thank our sponsors. But we don't have any sponsors yet. So if you are interested in being a sponsor of Fort Wayne Footy, we would love to talk with you about how you can be part of what we're doing here to to celebrate and elevate the game of soccer here in our city. So if you are listening and you're interested in being a sponsor, we've got a couple of different tiers. We can send you some information. We'll get that out there. And this is the part of the show that we would thank you and put your name out on social media and talk about you a little bit. So I'm getting a message on my screen. There we go. Things will cut in the audio version of this. But you get to see them if you're watching live. How about that? Fantastic. So Fort Wayne FC is the team that most people know about in Fort Wayne. There is another team, 1927 SC, that is a men's amateur team that plays out at Fort Wayne Sport Club that we'll also be following a little bit this season. And next week, we'll hear more about 1927 SC from Dave Bennett, who has been the general manager for a number of years of that team and at that club. But they do just a little bit about 1927 SC. They play in the Midwest Premier League. It's an amateur league here in this region. The league includes teams like Goshen City. I believe they're new to this division this year. So Goshen City is going to be the rivalry, the local rivalry that Dave will tell us more about that next week. Grand Rapids SC, Tulip City United, Holland Rovers, Midwest United, U23s are going to be playing as part of that. And then Lansing Common. Games are played at Fort Wayne Sport Club. It's $5 to get in. It's a fun environment. It's a fun atmosphere. And I think they'd love a supporter section to cheer them on as well, too. Have you guys ever been to a 1927 game?
Or not.
All right. I know there's a lot of young players that come through there, high school players, college players. It's just a different level of play than Fort Wayne FC is, but we talk about player development. It is another opportunity for players who are not aging out, but they're aging out of the youth clubs. They're playing, in colleges and things and looking for other opportunities to get their foot on a ball, to play at a higher level, to develop and maybe move on from there. They've got some fun tournaments that we'll hear about this season or next week, even from Dave. He'll share a little bit more about that. And again, we'd love to see you out at any of these games, Fort Wayne FC, 1927 SC. Micah, you look like you were going to share something.
No, I was just Googling real quick. I was curious to see if they were part of the US Open Cup. I know some of the amateur teams I played in back home in Wisconsin. I know that we played in that. And it was a similar league, so I'd be curious to see if they're part of the US Open Cup.
Yeah. I'd be interested as the season goes to hear about that experience in the US Open Cup. Because I know that is contentious for some Major League Soccer teams, but maybe for the teams in USL and below, it's a thing that people love, and it's got a fun history. It's a storied history here in the United States, and the fact that you've been able to play in that tournament is kind of cool. I'd love to hear about that experience. So anyway, 1927 SC, we'll hear more about that team from Dave Bennett next week. This week, we wanted to just give you a perspective on who we are as individuals, as hosts of Fort Wayne Footy, what we're about, what we hope to do, and bring on Christina. And we miss Shane to talk about the fan perspective, because that fans are going to make a team here in Fort Wayne. The fans in the community that get behind the local team make the team. I promise I won't talk about Cincinnati every week, but if you followed that team when they were in USL, it was the fan base that pushed them over the edge to Major League Soccer. They were pulling 25,000, 30,000 fans at a minor league, the pro, but it was USL championship games, and other teams were pulling 800 or 900. Fort Wayne, I think we have the potential to draw large crowds for a USL 2 team that's playing here now, for amateur men's teams, and next year when they move to USL 1. Micah, you mentioned promotion relegation. We'll talk more about that, because that is new to US soccer, and Fort Wayne could be part of that as they continue to improve and build their squad, that we could be playing. We could see a team here potentially in Fort Wayne playing at the highest level of soccer in the United States. And a big part of that is going to be the fan support through Three Rivers Regiment, or just filling seats at a stadium and cheering and being loud and being part of it. And that's what we want to do. That we want to be part of that here at Fort Wayne Footy to help build the knowledge and love of the game here in our city. Let's it's time to start wrapping up the show. We are running a little bit long because we started a little bit late. But I do want to give everybody just an opportunity to share any final thoughts about what we talked about tonight, about soccer in the city, things you're excited about in Fort Wayne. It's open-ended question. Micah, I'll start with you. Final thoughts about whatever you want to talk about tonight.
I really want to see what soccer looks like in 10 years, right? So at this new stadium that we'll have next year, there's going to be some kid sitting in some seat looking at one of these players and say, why can't that be me? And I think that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to highlight those local players, because there's going to be someone that looks at Namek and be like, I can do that, right? And then the development starts taking off and it starts snowballing from there where, and I think our generation, we had DeMarcus Beasley. We can watch Beasley and say, wow, he's great. But when he was 15, 16, 17, he was at Southside High School, I think his freshman, sophomore year. And then he was down in Bradenton, and then he was in PSV. So he almost disappeared a little bit from our landscape. Never really disappeared. He's still a very vital part of our community and the club, obviously. But I think we can follow these top players like Namek, like David Anderson, and Reed Sprout, where they're playing at a very high level. So we have kids watching them and just saying, why can't that be me? So I think it's going to be very interesting, very cool to see where soccer is going to go, because we have this very, very unique opportunity here in this city.
Yeah, that's a good thought, Micah. People in our generation, maybe not Autumn so much, but our generation, soccer wasn't as big then. And we had like the stars, like you mentioned, to look up to, but they were playing already at a high level. I didn't grow up with any soccer stars because there wasn't a whole lot of, I'd played with good players, but there wasn't a whole lot of it going on. And so now as the sport continues to grow, that's a good shout that, the local kids that are playing here, kids that maybe I went to school with them, maybe I went to school with their younger brother and I grew up watching them, now are playing at a professional level. It's kind of fun to watch. So thanks for that. It's a good thought. Autumn, any final thoughts tonight?
I think just overall, I'm excited to follow the team, dive a little deeper into the hometown team that we have here. Excuse me. But hearing Micah talk, I kind of like that perspective too. Especially as a coach myself, you're coaching these kids up in hopes that they're following and chasing dreams. And if that just happens to be that they are looking up to these people, looking up to this team, and having those people that they can turn to and push them to be even better than they were yesterday, that's going to be pretty fun to watch. So I'm with Micah on that one, but just overall, general, looking forward to following these players, kind of seeing where the team goes in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's a good thought. And something we didn't really talk about earlier in the show is that we're learning and growing with Fort Wayne FC ourselves as hosts of this show. So, there's going to be some things hopefully that we'll be able to bring you with some access to some interviews and players and coaches potentially down the road. But we're in the same boat as a lot of Fort Wayne right now, learning the team. We've been to some matches, we've seen some games, we know some of the players, but as an organization, as a whole, we're just here to get behind it and support it and spread the news and the love and celebration around the teams. That's a good one. Good thought there, Autumn. Dustin, I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, I just think across the board in the United States, soccer is becoming more popular. I mean, we got the World Cup coming next year that we're hosting. I think it's taking off, and to have a local team that is being promoted up, a division, to be able to follow along with them and be on that journey is really exciting. I think it's cool, again, to see our kids get excited about it and be able to go to games and kind of understand the play of soccer a little bit better as well from that perspective. So I don't know. I'm just excited about the landscape of soccer moving forward within our country as well as like locally. So
yeah, and I think we're all kind of on the same page. This idea of watching how things develop, and I know it's the reason the three of you are here. It's the reason I'm here, is to be part of that growth and the development of the game and the fan base in our area. So my final thought's going to take a little turn here because this almost wasn't a thing. Fort Wayne Footy almost wasn't a thing as of last night. I saw my life flash before my eyes at the FC Cincinnati match. I am a lover of the game of soccer. Like, I watch what I can watch, but that's the team that I grew up. I grew up in the city, and so when they had a team, it's the team that I started following. But now as a Fort Wayne, I've lived here for a long time now. I'm getting behind this team. But I was at the FC Cincinnati game, potentially saw the MLS goal of the year happen in front of my eyes. And I'm there with my son's team. Micah's son was there. And when they scored, the guys didn't get really excited about the first one. And I was like, stand up, cheer. We just scored. You're in the home stadium. Like, I don't care if you, like, it's fun when the goal goes in, right? And then the same player, Kevin Denke, scores on a bicycle from the 6-yard box. And it was unreal. Stadium went crazy. I jumped up so fast and turned around, and I'm telling the kids, get up, stand up. Everything went black. Like, I thought I was going down. We were 4 rows from the top of the stadium, and all I could think of was my body just rolling down the top of all these till I hit the concourse. Thankfully, that didn't happen, but it was a fantastic moment. And I thought, as a passionate soccer fan, is there any better way to go out? Like, if you could pick, maybe it might have been painful. Maybe, I don't know. It was a fun moment. Look forward to having those moments at Fort Wayne FC games, at 1927 SC games, and watching our kids play, whether we're coaching or we're parents. Thanks for joining us tonight for this first episode, the bumps and all here at Fort Wayne Footy. We're looking forward to a fun season ahead. Join us next week, and we'll talk to you soon.